like you to take a moment to look at this baby, whose only form of communication is through crying, babbling, and making random noises. But within a few months, those random sounds will start to resemble words, and the baby will start using these words in basic small sentences. And within just 2 to 3 years, this baby will start to understand and speak comprehensible human language, although being basic. So how exactly is this done? So my name is Abram Guerrero. I was raised in a bilingual household and have years of experience studying foreign languages. I've also done thorough research on this topic, and today I will be talking to you about language acquisition and use, specifically how 3 factors play a major role in this, which are statistical learning, social environment, and something called a critical period. So what exactly is statistical learning? To put it bluntly, in this case, statistical learning is when babies take mental notes on the amount of repetitions of certain sounds within a given language. I'll use this study as an example, which was conducted by Patricia K. Cole, titled Early Language Acquisition, Cracking the Speech Encode. And in this study, there are 2 graphs, one that represents the English baby on the right and Japanese baby on the left. And it shows that based on the amount of language that they were exposed to, the English baby had an easier time differentiating between the R and L sounds in English, but had a harder time identifying the Japanese R sound, while Japanese babies had a harder time identifying the R and L sounds, but could identify the Japanese R just fine. So in linguistics, there exist these 2 basic principles, comprehensible input and comprehensible outputs. And there was this post by the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and it described comprehensible input as a fancy way of saying being exposed to something in the new language and learning to understand it. This is done through hearing or reading. In contrast, comprehensible output is learning to produce a language, such as through speech or through writing. Now, what exactly influences your amount of input and output? That's right, that's social environments. So there was a study conducted by Rachel R. Romeo and other experts titled Beyond the 30 Million Word Gap. And what this study found was that there is a link between socioeconomic status of children and their ability to acquire language. So this is what these graphs are based on, and what they did was that they tested these children through varying household incomes, and they tested their brains through MRI scans, and they evaluated their scores on this test by speech comprehension, processing speed, receptiveness, expressiveness, etc. And they found that there was a link, and they found that children of low household incomes scored lower, so they were at a disadvantage when acquiring a language. And the title, Beyond 30 Million Words, the Beyond 30 Million Word Gap, was based on the calculations within their data that found there was an annual gap between the lower quartile and the top quartile. Relating to this, there was a different study conducted by Jennifer Winster titled Language Acquisition with Limited Input, and it found that children raised in orphanages were more prone to language delay and disorder. So this shows how social environment affects your language development. There was also another study going back to Patricia K. Cole that involved American 9-month-old infants, and they were placed in 3 groups: Group A, Group B, Group C. Group A was exposed to 12 sessions with native Mandarin speakers, 12 live sessions. Group B was only exposed to English, and Group C was exposed to Mandarin, but only through TV. So how this test was conducted was that the infant was placed in a room with Mandarin audio, and every time they detected a sound change within the language, the baby would tilt its head. If they didn't, it means they did not detect the sound. So what they found was that Group A had a 65% accuracy in detecting the sound, compared to the low score of Group B, which was 55%. And another interesting find was that the Group C, who was only exposed to Mandarin through TV, scored the exact same as those only exposed to English. So what does this study tell us? It tells us 2 things. First, live social human interaction is crucial to language development in youth. The second is that despite being 9 months old American babies who were only exposed to English before this, they showed signs in being able to acquire a whole different language, which supports the idea that there exists this critical period within language development. So within linguistics, there's this curve called the Johnson and Newport curve, which is based on a study conducted by Jacqueline S. Johnson and Elisa L. Newport, titled Critical Period Effects on Universal Properties of Language. And this is what the graph is based on. What the study did was that they took a large sample of people from varying ages and backgrounds, and they compared their age of arrival in the US with their test scores on a specific English test. Now, their age of arrival marks their start in being fully immersed in English. So what they found is that a person's ability to acquire new language deteriorates through age. Of course, this can be attributed to the fact that babies don't have responsibilities and spend all day basically getting massive amounts of input, while adults don't have that luxury and have other priorities to take care of. So in conclusion, although the acquirement of languages in itself is difficult to measure, these studies show that there exist three major factors that influence this, which are statistical learning, your social environment, which depends on the amount of social interaction you're getting, and the income you were raised in, and the critical period. So we can use this information to better advance our language education in youth. And as adults, you can use this information to better achieve your goals in your own language learning journey. So that's the end of my presentation, and thanks for listening.